All right, Jen, Ernie, and Pete, we are now live on YouTube. If you want to just keep your cameras off for the time being. Ernie will begin his intro at 12:02. I'll begin to let in the media at 12 o'clock.
Perfect. Thanks, Matt.
Sounds good.
Ernie, if you want, when I start letting in the media guys, if you want to just hop on quick and just tell them mute themselves and turn their cameras off until the press conference begins, that'll be the easiest way to go about that.
Hey guys, this is Ernie from Hopkins, welcoming in the media to today's Zoom call. We're going to go live in about 90 seconds. At this point, if you can mute and turn your cameras off for the stream, Matt is getting that going on our back end, and then I'll welcome you in right around 12:02. Hey guys, this is Ernie from Hopkins, welcoming in the media to today's Zoom call. We're going to go live in about 90 seconds. At this point, if you can mute and turn your cameras off for the stream, Matt is getting that going on our back end, and then I'll welcome you in right around 12:02. Okay, members of the media can now turn on their cameras and activate themselves into the press conference. Everybody can join now. I think we're just waiting for Coach to come up. Okay, members of the media can now turn on their cameras and activate themselves into the press conference. Everybody can join now. I think we're just waiting for Coach to come up. You guys hear that? You hear my feedback?
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody, members of the media can now turn on their cameras and activate themselves into the press conference. Everybody can
If
join
If somebody has the YouTube link up in the background on another window, please mute that.
Yeah, please
so,
mute that or turn it off.
so that the volume from that won't come through.
Great. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Ernie. I'm the Director of Athletic Communications here at Johns Hopkins. I'd like to welcome everyone to the introductory press conference for new Johns Hopkins men's lacrosse coach, Peter Millman. Just to fill you in on the format for today's press conference, we'll open the press conference with a statement from Director of Athletics, Jennifer Baker, who will then turn it over to Coach Millman for a quick opening statement, and then we'll open it up to questions. In the interest of trying to stay organized, obviously we're in unique times right now. If you have a question, if you could just use the chat feature to put your name and where you're from, I'll just go down the list as you put your name down, and we'll just call on you instead of everybody trying to talk over each other. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Jen Baker. Jen?
Thank you, Ernie. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you here, or welcome you to your homes, and by default here, and to formally introduce you to Peter Millman, our new head coach of men's lacrosse. Peter is, by all accounts, an accomplished coach, but also one of the great minds in the sport. When I first started this search process, I began by outlining a list of non-negotiables, all of which align with the values and aspirations of our program, of our department, and of our university. Among those was high character, a coach who is committed to providing an outstanding and holistic student-athlete experience for our players, and a coach who is well positioned to achieve a level of competitive success befitting the tradition and legacy that is Johns Hopkins lacrosse. Peter emerged from an incredibly talented pool of candidates as someone who not only had all of those non-negotiables, but also clearly articulated a vision for the future of our program that resonated with and inspired all of us. His record of success at Cornell is remarkable. His innovative and strategic approach to the game is compelling, and his experience supporting and developing the kind of student athletes we're fortunate to have here at Hopkins, all of those things further differentiated him. From the outset, it was very easy to see Peter being successful here at Hopkins, and I am thrilled that he's going to be leading this program in the years to come. With that, I'd love to turn it over to Pete and welcome him officially to Homewood.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that introduction. I want to start by saying that I am sincerely grateful for this opportunity, for this very special opportunity to lead a storied program built on traditions of excellence, and it will be my great honor to take the lead in this position and work to develop these young men both on and off the field. Want to make sure that it's understood how challenging this situation can be with what we're dealing with right now, and what lies ahead is a lot of unknowns, but with some great young men to work with and some phenomenal leadership in place, I'm confident in saying that there's success ahead in every way. I want to thank President Daniels, Vice President Alana Shanahan, and Athletic Director Jen Baker for this opportunity, and I'm very thankful for it, and looking forward to getting started.
Okay, if you have a question, just type your name in the chat section so I know who we're going to go to each time somebody has one. So members of the media, we'll open up the floor to you at this time. Matt Kinnear.
Pete, how's it going? Congrats. Jen just said you kind of outlined a vision for the future of Johns Hopkins lacrosse. Can you explain a little bit of what that vision is?
Sure. I think a large part of that's going to come from my my learning and gaining understanding of Johns Hopkins lacrosse and a lot of the traditions. But ultimately, it's applying a method that we've developed and have utilized at a school that's similar to that in the academic and makeup of high expectations. And realistically, it's about finding the right young men that want to be a part of something special and pushing them to be their very best, and looking for results in every way we can.
Terry Foy, Inside Lacrosse.
Pete, congratulations. How do you describe your familiarity currently with the team and the program, and how do you describe how your approach over the course of the next couple of weeks as you take this job in a very unique time?
Yeah. I have some familiarity. I wouldn't say it's vast by any means. I think there's a lot about Johns Hopkins lacrosse that most people know and understand, and there's a lot that I think only those on the inside will understand. And a lot of that process is going to come from getting to know the young men on the team currently, past alums, people who have been there and have a history of success as well. And trying to find what it is about Johns Hopkins that is essential for me to involve in my plan going forward, and incorporating that as well as I can, because this program is going to be about the young men on the team and serving them the best that we can. And if I'm doing that, then hopefully we have a successful venture going forward.
Back to Matt Kinnear from Inside Lacrosse.
Pete, from what I understand, you were going to be talking to the team this morning. If you could kind of just maybe explain that phone call and some of the things you went over and some of those introductory comments that you had with those guys.
Yeah, it was my first time with a face-to-face with that group, and mostly just introducing myself to them, giving them a chance to see my face with the name, and telling them a little bit about me and my background and where I came from, sharing a little bit of what I've mentioned to you guys and probably will continue to reiterate. I need to learn as much as I can about the Johns Hopkins lacrosse program. I don't have an inside knowledge of it. And although that may seem like a drawback to some, I think a fresh perspective and an outlook on what might be most beneficial is a point of focus for me. I think the guys seemed like they were excited to see what's next, hear what's next. I told them I'm going to start working on a staff and things like that right away, but that I will move forward, trying to get to know them on an individual basis as much as I can in the next few days. Amid all the other things that are going on, I think it's a real priority that I develop some personal relationships as soon as possible.
Next question is from Ed Lee of the Baltimore Sun, and I believe that's for Director of Athletics, Jen Baker.
Yes, hi, Jen. I wanted to ask you, obviously change is never easy, but one of the things that we as a staff were sort of inundated with were questions of why now in terms of parting ways with Dave Petramala. I was wondering if you could sort of explain the timing behind it.
Sorry, you would think by now I would know how to operate Zoom for as many of these as I've been on. I appreciate the question. It really wasn't, it's interesting that the question of now, I don't really see it that way. I think it really, and this is a conversation that Coach and I had, for a while in terms of the direction of the program and where we each wanted to see the program go. And I think these types of things are never easy. The situation being what it was with the shortened season, at some point we had to have that conversation. And it so happened that we had that conversation when we did, but I think, we're ready to look forward. We're excited about what the future holds, and we are where we are now, obviously, with Peter, but I wouldn't say so much that, it's never an ideal time to make changes. It just isn't. And, we landed where we did. It was clear that we both felt like it was time to go in a new direction. And it just so happened that timing was, unfortunately, April, in the middle of the situation that we're in.
If I could ask a follow-up, you mentioned the new direction. Peter is the first coach without any ties to the school since, I think, Tony Seaman. How much of that was a consideration?
None. It's interesting. Enjoy is probably the wrong word. I have followed the rumor mill over the last couple of weeks about, what that really means. And there have been rumors out there that, I would only hire a Hopkins alum, or I would purposely hire a non-Hopkins alum. And what I've said from the outset is I want to hire the best possible coach for this program to lead us into the future. there are great coaches on both sides of that. There's nothing that was deliberate about it. It really was about those non-negotiables and identifying kind of who met those as a baseline criteria, and then who beyond that did we feel like was the best possible leader for our young men and for the future of the program.
Thank you.
Next question is from Matt Hamilton from Lacrosse Magazine for Coach Millman.
Hey, Coach. You come from a storied program at Cornell, and you're going to another one at Johns Hopkins. I'm just wondering, how do you kind of draw from the experiences that you had at Cornell, the success that you had at Cornell, and hope to take from that experience to bring to Hopkins?
Sure. I think first and foremost, I want to be, clear. I've had a phenomenal experience at Cornell. I think this is a great place, and I'll take with me some really incredible memories and relationships that we built here. The expectation is significant at both programs, and the level of academic standard and excellence is significant at both places. So I think there's a lot of experience from that, just knowing that recruiting young men of high character, high quality on and off the field, young men who are going to be driven to be great and a part of something great, can certainly benefit me. I've also been involved in this at Cornell University in a number of different roles, and I think that that perspective can also lend some benefit to putting a staff together, to developing coaches and players and things of all that nature.
Next is Mark Dixon from BTN. Not sure if we lost Mark. We'll skip him for now. We'll go back to Matt Kinnear. Another question for Coach.
Coach, this is kind of a follow-up to the other Matt's question just now, but in addition to your Cornell experience, you have a pretty unique background in the sport. You're a D3 guy, spent some time in D2 and some other aspects. How do you think that you've turned that aspect of your career into a strength?
It's interesting you say that, because I only see that as a strength. I think having experience coaching at all different levels and in all different calibers of programs and schools, it's all going to benefit you if you're doing it for the right reasons. I don't think only being from Johns Hopkins or only being a Division I person is a negative, but I can tell you from personal experience that having a job where you only make $5,000 in a year and you got to figure out how to survive the rest of the way, or $0, coaching at a place that doesn't have resources or the ability to support much of what the team's needs are, or being the third assistant on a coach and on a staff, excuse me. And there's a lot of different perspectives for that, and you learn the value of each of those jobs. You learn about how those fit together, how they need to fit together. I think that there's a lot of memories and experiences that I've had in my coaching career, which has been 15 years, that I can reference, that has helped me. And a lot of times I thought of, examples of what we did well, or where we found success, and a lot of the learning from that came from, one of those other places that you mentioned or that you're talking about. I think it all benefits if you're going in the right direction to pull from those different experiences. I see the value add of that, and it's something that I'm really proud of. It's something that I'm prideful of, having those experiences. I always have appreciated the opportunities, but I wouldn't have done it differently if I would have been able to do it over again. And I say that with a lot of struggle, having come through this process.
I think we have Mark Dixon now from BTN ready. Mark?
Coach, welcome to Hopkins. Congratulations.
Thank you.
With respect to, you mentioned you still have a lot to learn about Johns Hopkins lacrosse. When you started the process, what was your perception of the school and the program? What were you thinking? And then how did that evolve and change over the course of you interacting with the administration and the other powers that be at Johns Hopkins?
I definitely know more about the program and about the university now than I did 2 weeks ago. But I didn't know what my expectations were even going into it. Being contacted by the search committee and identified as a candidate, I first wasn't sure what my interest level was. I had to talk that through with my wife, and had a conversation with my boss at Cornell, and just expressed that it was something that was an interest of mine. I think it's a really unique program in a place of special importance in our sport, and I felt like it was something that was important for me to consider and to look into. And through the course of that process, I think I learned a lot more about the level of excellence and more importantly, the character of the program and where that comes from, and why Johns Hopkins is not just a great lacrosse program or a great school. Why it's a unique one, why it's a special one, why people care so much about the program, because people care about places that are successful. Alums are going to be happy when their team is winning. But there's a lot of people around here that are just really passionate about Johns Hopkins lacrosse, not only if they're winning. And that's an important quality. And I think learning that there's a lot more to the depth and the character of this program and these people is what really excited me going forward, and let me know that there's more opportunity than I was aware of before this process began.
Next, back to Ed Lee from the Baltimore Sun for Coach Millman.
Peter, because of your background at Cornell and your links to Ivy League, can you use that to maybe recruit some of the transfers who have placed their entered their names in the transfer portal from the Ivy League?
It's a possibility. I think there's a lot of young men who I've competed, coached against, and gotten a chance to see firsthand what type of competitors they are. And because of the way the rules work in that league, it might provide some opportunity, but I wouldn't be able to speak too much more to that at this point. I just I haven't even seen the transfer portal yet, to be honest with you. I didn't look at it when I was at Cornell because it wasn't a possibility for us, and I have not explored it yet as the head coach at Johns Hopkins. But at some point, I know that will surface.
If I could ask a follow-up, have you made any decision regarding your staff, and how much consideration would you give to maybe hiring someone who either played at Hopkins or had coached at Hopkins in the past?
No decisions have been made on a staff. I've started the preliminary process of, I would say brainstorming to start, and reaching out for some guidance and some suggestions. I will at some point start the interview process, but really I need to gauge some interest and things like that now. There will certainly be a consideration, as I've mentioned a few times, not knowing everything in the ins and outs and what it's like to be on the field as a Hopkins lacrosse player is a challenge. And if I can find myself an advantage from having someone with some experience, then I would certainly consider that.
Thank you.
Back to Mark Dixon, question for Coach.
Peter, what style of play do you look to incorporate at Johns Hopkins?
It's an interesting question I seem to get a lot of times, and I don't know if I can really define styles of the game as much as I can, describe a little bit about, what I like to see and what I think works. But, any way I'm going to describe it, I'm going to say it this way. It's a fundamental approach to the game that's going to require a selfless attitude and commitment to the team over self. And that may sound broad, and I think there's a lot more specifics inside of it, but I think the buy-in is really the most essential part, is that, guys can understand what you want to do strategically, but if they can commit to an understanding of it and learning about it, it changes what's ultimately possible. And at this stage, I need to get to know the young men on the team a little bit better and figure out what our next step is when we actually get a chance to get back together and play lacrosse. But I will refer back to my original statement, as fundamental and as selfless as I can imagine it being.
Move over to Matt DeSilva from Lacrosse Magazine for Coach Millman.
Yeah, Pete, hi. I'm curious, you mentioned that this morning you had your first chance to address your new players at Johns Hopkins. As you mentioned, this all materialized very quickly over the last couple of weeks. When were you able to confide in your former Cornell players in terms of where you were at the process, and then actually breaking the news to them that you were moving on?
Not that long ago. It was last night, and it was because of the timing of it, not possible for me to have a personal conversation with everybody before the information started to come out. You know, as you can imagine, with the pace that media moves nowadays, information moves. Once it starts to get out there, you know, I was getting messages from people that were 20 minutes after the first person I told. So I made a few phone calls and sent a message to the team, you know, just try to be upfront and clear with them. And I'm going to continue, although my focus is moving forward and on the Johns Hopkins team. I will continue to follow through with those conversations and make sure that I finalize that chapter of my life and theirs as well.
And I also had a follow-up to the other Matt's question, which was a follow-up to the other Matt. But of that nature, with your Division II and Division III experience, how did that make you, you know, uniquely situated to position yourself in this Hopkins search, being that it's a Division III institution with obviously high caliber Division I lacrosse?
Sure. Perhaps Jen can speak to that a little bit better. I don't know. I mean, I played lacrosse at Gettysburg College, which is in the Centennial, the same conference as Johns Hopkins. They compete against each other in every sport except lacrosse. So I think there could be correlation there if I were not a Division I lacrosse candidate. But I don't know if, you know, it draws as much of a connection. I will say that, you know, being at that school when I, you know, for my undergrad and having the experience knowing Division III athletics, I have a tremendous amount of respect for those athletes, for those coaches, the people involved in that. It is not, in my opinion, you know, only Division I lacrosse that, you know, or Division I sports in general that are competing at a high level.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions at this time? Okay, I'd like to thank all the media for joining us today. If you have any additional requests as we move forward, please reach out to me directly. That would go for Coach Millman, Jen Baker, or any of the Johns Hopkins players. I'll be available to assist you in any of those requests that you would have. And with no further questions, we'll draw today's press conference to a close. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ernie.